Welcome back to Roads Optional. We've got my trusty Jeep LJR right here with me, and finally I can join Timon behind the camera. His ditch light friend circle group thing. I got some ditch lights here from Novsight. Actually, they're lights for anything, but I'm going to use these 3-inch off-road pods for ditch lights because I think they look pretty cool and they are technically functional in case I put my Jeep into a ditch like I did in the GX470. Or showing you where the ditch is so you don't put it into a ditch. There's a lot of perks for ditch lights, just extra lighting when you're off-road out in the middle of nowhere. Maybe we'll take this thing to Moab soon. Timon and Dial are trying to get me out there. So we got the Novsight Cyber 1, I guess they're called. Not really sure exactly, but I will have these linked in the description below. And a big Tesla drivers, I tell you.
Yeah, menaces to society.
So I'll leave these things linked in the description below, and a big shout out to Novsight for sending these over. But let's get these things unboxed really quick. Unboxing. This should be really quite simple and straightforward. Installation manual. Don't need that. Just kidding.
No, you don't need that.
Always good to look at the installation manual. Very simple, honestly. So that's a good sign. And take off the foam. Boom. It looks like there's 4 lights. Actually, there's not. There's 2 light pods here with covers on them. So you can actually take these covers off and we can see what's underneath. Boom. 4 LEDs per pod. They're very heavy and solid feeling, like all metal construction, no plastic whatsoever. And then we can put on these plastic orange things. What do you think, Simon?
Amber. Amber is the way to go always.
Amber all the way. Okay. And we have bolts here, Allen key things, and mounting things. So these mount the lights. And what you're probably thinking is, where do you mount them to? Well, there's a few options. One option, if I didn't already have these down here, is you could put them on your actual bumper. I already have these, and these are great as like fog lights. They're both yellow or amber, depending on like bright yellow fogs or just like dim amber. But for these, I'm actually gonna mount them up at the base of the windshield. So that's where the next product comes into play. Now, this is not from Novsight, this is from Rough Country. These things right here, it's just whatever you call this metal stuff. What's this called? Isn't there a term for this metal?
A bracket?
No, well, it's a bracket, but this type of metal, I don't know, there's a term for it. But these actually plug in right here, screw in. We'll take these screws out.
No, they plug in with a harness.
Yeah. Mount them here, and we'll get the lights mounted, figure out all the wiring. We'll have to get into. Shouldn't be that hard, though. So, Timon's breaking the bolts loose. They are T40. Feels like you're breaking it.
They're glued. They're not glued. They're painted on.
Painted on. Yeah, that makes sense. So, I think
Probably a bit rusty.
Rough Country actually did include new bolts, which is cool. So all we have to do is get these out.
I mean, you can mount them here too.
That's
Be a
true.
little sideways, but
Yeah, there's different options. I like all these bolts all around this Jeep.
I'm about to break my hand here.
This is why I'm filming, just in case something funny happens. Then we put it on the internet.
Way easier.
Oh, that's good.
Thank God, I'm about to break my knuckle.
Anyways, check out my recent video on replacing all the tail lights with LEDs. That was pretty fun. And we're just doing Operation LED everything on this Jeep. So all that's left, I think, is the front turn signals and the interior bulb lights. They look pretty terrible right now. So we are now installing the little rubber piece on the actual bracket itself. Very carefully. Timon's basically a surgeon. And this is what protects the actual paint of the Jeep.
This one goes on the other side. You grab 2 bolts, 2 washers, or do we need 4 washers?
It only came with 6 total, so I think
2 extras.
yeah, 2 bonus washers.
Oh, this isn't aligned for anything.
How did it come misaligned? Oh, I guess these bolts are probably holding something in, aren't they?
Yeah, they give these side bolts too. Maybe we should have done one side at a time. It's tightening at some point. There we go.
Looks good.
It'll self-align. They give you an Allen key?
I think so.
Rough Country?
So the side Timon had worked perfect, but this side, the rubber thing they gave us was, I guess, the wrong one. They kind of gave us 2 of the same, which won't work for 2 different sides that are mirrors of each other. So, yeah, plus the holes didn't even line up. So leave it to Rough Country. They didn't send this for free, so I don't mind bashing them. This is Rough Country out here. I think I have a Rough Country suspension too, so that checks out.
So I'm gonna cut this to spec, and then, you know, the holes don't really matter. The bolts will go through the holes just fine. All right, one side's on. Feels solid. Give it a nice tug. That's how you know it's on there. Okay, we forgot to show the wires, but here they are. They look intimidating, but they're not that
No, it's super easy.
complex.
So these are the female connectors for the lights themselves, which are waterproof. Really nice that they come with those. There's a relay here, which is a 40 amp 12 volt relay. Doesn't really do much unless you're doing strobe, is really when you want relays, so that you don't burn your lineup and catch your car on fire. Because you already have a fuse that's in here, I never open them because they're a pain in the ass. And then you just positive and negative. So usually you just do positive to the battery and then put the negative to a ground, but here can't find any ground, so we're just going to do it to the negative of the battery, and then we're going to run the switch through somewhere in this pile of junk's engine bay, and yeah, it should be fairly easy.
Yeah, and this switch is what's in the cabin to turn on and turn off the lights. Pretty simple.
Yep.
All right, wiring's in progress. Pro tip: use these actual soldering shrink type things for proper wiring. Like, that's just the way to go. Don't use crimp caps or anything like that.
Yeah, like this guy did before.
Yeah, the wiring that's already on the Jeep,
It's mediocre at best.
I could feel, I'll probably redo that at some point. And we did put the this thing over here, whatever Timon called it, and the relay. And I've got the lights now connected to their brackets. That's how you assemble them. Put the bolt in before you put the bracket on. That makes it a little easier to feed through. So now I'll actually assemble these, well, I guess install them on the actual brackets here. Nice. And they do fit. Not really much rotation capabilities, but that's okay. Even though I said ditch lights, they might end up being forward lights.
Come on.
Which I could always address with another bracket on this bracket, but the just how much play is in it, yeah, they're gonna be basically sitting straight forward. That's all right. So wiring's done, and it has been getting pinched by this. I was trying to figure out the best way to wire these through, and I know some people remove this panel. Sometimes they drill through it, which I have drill bits and stuff too. So we may pull this panel off and just see what's underneath it, and maybe that's a better place, because this is a little bit pinchy. Got, like Timon said, the positive, negative to the negative. All the wiring is cleanly routed through there with zip ties, and we actually routed it through this part of the panel. That's where there was a bigger hole, so now it's squeezed but not pinched, which I think is a bit more important and much more safe. This isn't the most clean thing, especially that side that Timon did.
Hey, I do the wiring here, okay?
Yeah. So now we're making them amber, and that looks pretty solid, not gonna lie. Very nice. Wow, and they work. Nice. So it looks actually super cool, and first try. So we get it all buttoned up, and then tonight I'll show you what they look like at night. Finished product. Let me just show you the lights actually on. And before it gets dark, I want to show you, I actually wired the wire back up through there. You kind of, I mean, just kind of wing it. And then I actually poked it out up here above the steering wheel, and I just put it right here. So turn it on, come out, and take a look at the new lights. Looks absolutely spectacular. Just for the heck of it, let's put the whole fascia on. Turn on those lights, and without even headlights on, here's what we're looking for on the front of the Jeep. Looks pretty sweet. These are different colors. These are like way more yellow, whereas the upper ones are definitely more amber, which I do actually prefer the amber look. So I'm going to switch the lower lights to my amber color. There we go. So now they're a bit less bright, but they're still definitely on, and that looks spectacular. So definitely a decent amount of front lighting. Obviously these should not be driven on the road with the lights on. That's an off-road scenario only. So flip them back off, flip everything else back off, and we're good to go. So really pretty simple install. And now we'll jump to nighttime where you can actually see it in the dark. All right, so here is nighttime. It's actually a little bit rainy too, which is interesting. Just a little bit of weather to throw in the mix here, but I will shut the Jeep off. And well, shutting the Jeep off turns off the wireless CarPlay, which interrupts filming. That's one issue I have with wireless CarPlay, by the way. Anyways, we're not here to talk about CarPlay. We're here to talk about the lights. So if I turn off the headlights, we should have darkness. Now, if I turn on only the new Novsight ditch lights, boom, let there be light. It really lights up everything. It's pretty awesome. Now, if I add the headlights and the ring lights and the fog lights, we have a lot going on up there. So I will get out now, see how it looks on the outside. Ugh. And yeah, a lot of wind. I apologize, but look at that. Looks like a beast. I am pretty thrilled with these lights. So again, Novsight sent these over. Just the lights themselves, they could be mounted on a bumper. Like if I didn't have these existing fog lights, the ones I'll turn off right now, then I could have mounted these there. I currently have the amber covers on. If I took the amber covers off, they'd be clear. Turn off the headlights now, turn off the ring light. Yeah, so these are just the new Novsight lights, which really nice amber glow with the amber covers. Of course, without the covers, they would be white, but that's it. Final thoughts. Just in the darkness out here. It's rainy, it's a little bit windy, so that's it. That's how I'm ending the video. I'm super thrilled with these things. If you're interested, the link is definitely in the description below. And I think, so I put them on the mounts from Rough Country. Those mounts are fine. They're just not good enough mounts to have rotation, so they can't be the ditch lights like I originally intended. Like I wanted these to actually be angled out towards the left, towards the right, and maybe angled down a bit. They do work as great front filler lights. Like on a trail at night, these are still useful clearly. I mean, they're lighting this up super clearly. So no regrets with how they're mounted. They look great. They do the trick, but eventually I'll probably adjust them to where they point over off to the edges to be actual ditch lights. Maybe I'll mock some mount up with timing, but in the meantime, I'm pretty thrilled. Super easy to put on, as you can tell, and turn them off instantly because they're LED. No issues. Thank you, Novsight, for sending these over. I think they're pretty sweet. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know what other lights you'd love to see. We have other rigs on this channel. I mean, we have GX470s, other Jeeps. I mean, we've got options. So if you want to see other Novsight products, let us know, which would let them know, and we can show you how to install them, what they're good for, a lot of fun things. So this is the installation, a quick preview, literally in my parking space, but I hope to do some actual content off-road soon with these lights to show you how they work in their element. All right, y'all, cheers. See you next time.